You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey, everybody. Supposed to kill 30 seconds. Lisa has a favorite saying whenever she wants to exaggerate the amount of something. She will say that it's a buttload. And I used to joke with her, and I would say, well, what exactly is a buttload? Because, I need a scientific measurement here. And it turns out that actually is a scientific method of measuring. Little did I know, it's an obsolete terminology from the UK, the West Country. And a buttload it's a regional English measure of capacity of a heavy cart, or also called a butt, containing 6 seams or 48 bushels, equivalent to 384 gallons. So when somebody says that they brought a buttload of something, technically they're saying they brought 384 gallons of whatever item is, which makes sense because this is a unit of measure that is most associated with wine. So I've got a buttload of wine in the truck, 384 gallons. But then I come back to her, and she tends to use it for other things that you wouldn't measure in gallons. She once said I had a buttload of guitars, bass guitars, but I think I had 10 at the time. I don't think that's a proper usage of the term. But I give her credit because she's the one that looked it up and found it. This was quite a few years ago she did this. But that is one of her favorite things to say. The other thing she likes to say is, I probably shouldn't go into that. Anyway, so we have a buttload of news today. Now, is it 384 gallons? Probably not. It's news. But I'll give Lisa credit. Buttload is a good way of describing things. I may have to do that more often. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is August 16th. Can you believe that already? The 16th of August. It really did seem like we just started this year. It's been going fast. Got lots of people in here, lots of friendly faces, and we don't have a giveaway today, so it's very nice to see all of you. We have Ed's here, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. We got Sheldon. Hello, Sheldon. Cool's here. Clayton. We've got JD on the board. Kenneth is here. Triple B, Lieutenant, and Slipknot. Good afternoon to all of you. Glad to see you here. Today we are going to talk about the new movie on Netflix, Heart of Stone. And I've recently found out that it's actually a story by, and the script is co-written by comic book writer Greg Rucka. So got a nice tie in there to the comic industry. Hey, Slip says smash the like button. You got to do what Slipknot says, right? Just got to. That, and you got to leave your keys upon the table. So we got that, but we got a bunch of news to cover. Also, we got a good lineup today. Hey, JD, did we ever find out who Chuck's guest is today?
Not yet. He's being kind of mysterious about it, so we'll have to wait and see.
Chuck's mysterious guest on Talk and Treat Trivia. We have, of course, Comic Collectibles and Kicking It with Henri. I didn't see 360 Comics on the schedule. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So we got a good lineup here. You want to stick around for all of that. And let's just jump right into the news. Let's see. I got my right up here. All right. This one's interesting. Agatha Coven of Chaos, once called House of Harkness, we're starting to find out a little more. We're starting to get an idea of who's playing what. Comedian Sashir Zamata is talking about her role in Coven of Chaos, of course, WandaVision spinoff, if you're not up to date. Now, Zamata is an SNL alum, and she's recently done a comedy special called The First Woman. And it's kind of interesting because in her special, she talks about being a witch or witches. So there's a witches theme to part of her comedy special. Now, she says, I had already written the material before I went through the audition process. It felt magical that I got to be in a show about witches. I talk about it so much in my special. Now, Zamata will be portraying Jennifer Kale, a sorceress in the MCU world. She says, I definitely did as much comic book research as I could, which I'm always happy to hear. It's funny, whenever you hear someone go, no, we're not doing any research, that's never going to work out well. So when they do, it's much better. She says, but the way we form the character is very different from what I think people expect. Now, the cast of the series will also include, of course, Catherine Hahn back as Agatha, Aubrey Plaza, Emma Caulfield Ford, who was in WandaVision, Patti LuPone, who is just this great Broadway singer and actress. It's really neat to see her in this. Joe Locke, Ali Ahn, Maria Dezia, and let's see who else. Miles Gutierrez Riley, Akwi Akpakwasali, and others, of course. But LuPone was recently talking about her character while she was on The View, and she said, it's a coven of witches, and I play Lilia Calderu, who apparently is in the Marvel world. I researched her. She's hot. She's really hot. She's got a great body and hair, which makes it funny because that's the thing that stands out to Patti LuPone. I think that's hilarious. Losing my place. I didn't know there were witches. I didn't know anything about the Marvel world. There are witches in the Marvel world, so we are a coven of witches, and the witches are Catherine Hahn, Aubrey Plaza, and a familiar, if anybody knows Heartstopper, is Joe Locke. Now, what's been kind of interesting, Joe Locke they've talked about as possibly playing Wiccan, the son, one of the sons or one of the twins of Wanda, but there's no confirmation. And the fact that she says he's playing a familiar here means that it might not be the case. Or in the comics, Agatha has a son who ends up going on to leading a coven, and so that could be where they're going to. But there's a new report out now that says that Aubrey Plaza will be playing a brand new character made specifically for the series named Rio Vidal. Now, Plaza previously mentioned how much she loved her character, saying, Coven of Chaos was so fun. I wanted very much to work with Catherine Hahn. I think she's so great. And without saying anything really, I had a blast. I love my character in that as well. And I think it's the most elevated Marvel material that's out there. So it was cool to jump into the world and those people specifically. Now, remember, she was in Legion, so she's putting this elevated above Legion, which is pretty interesting. Now, while not a Marvel character herself, the speculation is that Plaza may be playing the first Green Witch in Marvel lore based on the comics Giant's Emerald Warlock Dion. So, could be interesting if she is playing a Green or Emerald Warlock. So, we still don't have a release date for that. When we do, I'll share it with you guys. But as of right now, that's in production. I believe they had already filmed it, so it's in post-production, means that they still, if it did finish shooting, they could still be working on it. So, all right, let's switch over to Barbie, and Barbie's doing very well. The Greta Gerwig directed Mattel doll adaptation has become the highest-grossing Warner Brothers movie in the studio's 100-year history at the domestic box office. It's made $537.4 million, knocking out the previous champion of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, which made $534.9 million back in 2008. Now, I think if you adjust for inflation, because ticket prices now are probably, 15 years later, probably much more expensive than it was back then. But, Barbie crossed the $500 million mark in the US and Canada last week on the 22nd day of release, which beat out Top Gun Maverick, which did it in 30 days, and Super Mario Brothers, which did it in 31. Now, Barbie is one of 20 movies in the domestic box office history to gross north of 500 million. Her global total right now stands at 1.2 billion worldwide. That's the second highest grossing movie for Warner Brothers, with just 0.34 behind Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And there's a good chance they will catch to that this weekend. Now, while it's still chugging along, there's a chance that it's finally going to be pushed out of the top slot by another Warner Brothers movie, Blue Beetle. They're tracking Blue Beetle right now to come in between 28 and 32 million this weekend, while Barbie is still looking to take in about 22 to 24 million in its fourth weekend. So there's a good chance Blue Beetle may win the weekend. Now, the Angel Manuel Soto directed Blue Beetle is over-indexing with Latino and Hispanic audiences, hence the hope that it will actually generate a lot more walk-up business than they're expecting. That happened recently with the other Warner's movie, the Meg 2, The Trench, which ended up hitting 30 million, which was well above its expectations. Now, Blue Beetle is going to drop into 3,800 locations. It will get the IMAX theaters from Oppenheimer. It will also play in Dolby Cinemas, PLFs, drive-ins, and movie seats, motion seats. So this is going to get the big push, which is great since it originally was meant to be a Warner Brothers on HBO Max. So they're putting the effort behind it, which I think is great. So, all right, we're going to move over here to any Scott Pilgrim fans out there. Scott Pilgrim Takes on the World. Netflix has dropped the first look teaser for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. That's the official title. It's an anime series based on the classic graphic novels. Plus, it carries on from the 2010 film and brings back Michael Cera, along with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Kieran Culkin, Anna Kendrick, Aubrey Plaza, and the rest of the voices. This is going to debut on Netflix on November 17th. And if you want to see the teaser video they dropped, it is available on YouTube. So, all right. Any Warrior Nun fans out there? Now, the Avatar comic got turned into a Netflix series for 2 seasons before getting canceled, but the support that's been shown ever since the cancellation has actually led Netflix to decide to make 3 movies, or a trilogy of movies, to continue the story. Executive producer Dean English took to social media to announce that Warrior Nun had been picked up and would be adapted into 3 films based on the comic book character created by Ben Dunn. But this isn't necessarily Netflix, as Netflix is not involved in the trilogy of movies. I need to start by thanking all of you loyal fans. It's because of you and your incredible energy that we keep pushing forward to make these stories. You guys really make it worthwhile, so thank you so much for your continued support. I don't know where this is going to pop up, but he went on to say, I'm happy to announce that Warrior Nun has come back for a trilogy of motion pictures. Yeah, so again, not sure exactly where this is going to show up, but so. Hey, JD, I'm seeing people put the hashtag, do we have any slabs left, or is that done?
No, that we have given away all 20 of our slabs, so we're all done with the giveaway.
Okay, so yeah, you don't need the hashtag today. And I don't have any slabs. I actually only own 1 slab, and it's one of my own books that I decided just for posterity to slab. So I couldn't give you a slab if I wanted to. So, all right, let's go on in. Oh, this is interesting. We've got Disney's Loki coming up soon. Well, Disney officially announced that there'll be 2 new Marvel Legends episodes that will kind of serve as a refresher for Loki season 2. Now, there's already been some for the original series. There's a Loki one out there, stuff like that. But they're doing, these 2 are a little different because they're not necessarily focused on a specific person like they normally do the Legends. And these are going to be dropped on Friday, September 29th, a week ahead of the October 6th debut. The first Legends episode is called Variants. And 1 week ahead of the season 2, where is it? And is expected to tackle Loki's several variants introduced in season 1. It says, who is Loki? Is he a raven-haired chap in a green suit with a penchant for deception and depravity? Is he instead a she with blonde hair who prefers to be called Sylvie? Or could Loki actually be an overly sensitive alligator with a golden horns and a taste for cats? Truth be told, Loki is all of the above, thanks to the existence of numerous variants. Okay, so what exactly is a variant? This episode of Legends holds the answers to the critical question and more. A variant is an individual that doesn't belong to the so-called sacred timeline, and thus hails from a kind of alternate reality where there might exist a very different version of Loki, or someone called Mobius, or Renslayer, or Kang. Still having trouble make sense of it all? Fear not, Legends has you covered. So that's the first one. The second one is called TVA and is poised to unpack everything that fans need to know about the Time Variance Authority. And it says, there's a sacred timeline, a timeline that must be protected at all costs. And let's hope that you and I are a genuine part of it, for if not, we might one day be visited by agents of the Time Variance Authority. Agents who will be obligated to prune us, banish us to a nightmare world that resides in perpetual isolation at the absolute end of time. Legends explores its mysterious origins of the TVA and sifts the facts from fiction. Are the Timekeepers truly a trio of godlike beings responsible for the TVA's creation, or could there merely be artificial figureheads meant to obscure the identity of some flesh and blood mastermind possessing secrets both dark and ancient? This episode of Legends holds every answer. So there you go. Those will be the Legends that they do just prior to Loki's debut. And I'm looking forward to Loki too. I think it should be a lot of fun. It's it's been hit or miss lately on some series and stuff. I'm really looking forward to Loki season 2. All right, that is our news for the day. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk Heart of Stone. We'll be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is, all the time.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
What if Hans Gruber from Die Hard had to battle the Joker from Batman the Animated Series in a dance battle? Or who would win in a race between Baby from Baby Driver and Snidely Whiplash? If Austin Powers and Shrek found themselves in a hot dog eating contest, who would emerge victorious? These are the questions we talk about on Nerd Killer Warfare. Debate the most absurd questions you've ever heard in popular culture. Register now by scanning the QR code or visiting bit.ly/EXP casting.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Netta says, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is my favorite movie. It's like how you do great live action. Netflix has an animated series, Scissors 7. It really reminds me of how Scott Pilgrim animation should be done. Well, you can take a look at the teaser on YouTube. That will show you how they're going to be doing it. I wasn't a huge fan of the Scott Pilgrim movie, but I was intrigued by the guests in that, or the other characters that are actors in it. You know, Sarah and all them, but to have Chris Evans, Brie Larson, and Brandon Routh in there, I thought was pretty cool. It's like, good casting, because we know how they blew up after that in most cases. So, all right, let's talk about Heart of Stone. If you guys don't know anything about this movie, this is a new movie on Netflix. It's currently trending #1 for them. And it stars Gal Gadot. And it's kind of this big action James Bond-esque type thriller. It's almost more in the category of Citadel, the recent series on Amazon Prime. Now, I watched Citadel. I enjoyed Citadel, but to me, there's different types of spy thrillers. There's your down and dirty, one man against the world type thing. And half the time that he survives, it's out of luck, or she. But the hero survives, it's out of luck or wits. And then there's the other kind, which is whoever the agent is just so over the top trained and good at their job that they can just mow through people. It's almost a John Wick type thing. So, yeah, Clayton, if you like Citadel, I think you'll like Heart of Stone. It's on that same level. And that's what this is. This is the over the top action stuff. You have to kind of suspend disbelief on some things. But as I started looking into this show, I was kind of fascinated, and I went into Wikipedia to look it up. I always look at Wikipedia and IMDb to get the background. And this is a story by, and the script is co-written by Greg Rucka. You know, Queen and Country, all the great stuff that he's done in comics, has run on Wonder Woman, stuff like that. So this is great, what Greg Rucka is known for, this type of story. I mean, Queen and Country was brilliant and put him on the map. So this is from Greg Rucka, and it has kind of, and it's directed by Tom Harper, and it has kind of a really interesting cast. I mean, your main cast is Gal Gadot, of course, as the lead, Jamie Dornan, then Aaliyah Balt, Sophia Okonedo, and Matthias, I'm never going to get this one right, Schweighöfer. Maybe Matthias Schweighöfer. That's your main cast. But as you're watching this movie, there's a moment where you meet these four people that kind of run this agency. And we've known one of them for a while. And it's an actress I've never seen before. So I'm thinking, no big deal. And then we meet the other three people. And they're all people I recognize. It's Mark Avenir. It's frickin' B.D. Wong from Gotham and Law and Order. And finally, the third person is Glenn Close, for zero apparent reason. Glenn Close has come on and done what is basically a bit part. She's in two scenes, one of which she has some dialogue. And then in another scene, it's more of like somebody is watching her on a video camera. And that's it. That's all her part is. But Glenn Close shows up in this movie. B.D. Wong's is a little bit bigger, but not by much. And again, why you would bring in two really big, or B.D. Wong, medium-sized name. You recognize it. Glenn freaking Close. And JD says name appeal for the foreign market. Glenn Close is not part of any of the marketing. She's not listed IMDb. It's a quiet appearance. It's a quiet cameo. No mention of her in any of the marketing. I don't think there's even mention of B.D. Wong, but, you know, like I said, B.D. Wong is kind of that mid-range where had he been a bigger part in the movie, it would have made more sense. But that smaller part was like, oh, that's kind of a waste of B.D. Wong. But Glenn freaking Close. It's just kind of really weird. Now, I described this in my original description for the show as being about 70% action. And this is the type of action you want. This is the Citadel style, or the Roger Moore James Bond style action. You know, she's doing things that are just way over the top. She's so well trained, and but then there's this 15% that is bad writing, cringy, cliche stuff. And it's kind of a weird balance. You have to go in knowing that it's going to be there, and then you can just forget about it. And just to give you an example, the title, Heart of Stone, has multiple meaning. There's the quiet meaning, which is the agency she works for does everything based off of AI, and you're not supposed to have emotions or any kind of, you're supposed to just take the orders from the computer and do them. You're not supposed to use your instincts, or you're supposed to basically have a heart of stone. So from that point of view, the title's okay. The problem is that's not where they stopped. In this movie, the AI computer that is the central thing of this agency is called the Heart. And Gal Gadot's character's name is Rachel Stone. Heart of Stone. And Slip says, I think Gal Gadot would have been a good Lara Croft. I agree. I'm going to tell you the truth. When I turned it on, my thought was, I haven't really seen Gal Gadot in much. I'm not a Fast and the Furious fan, so I haven't seen her in those movies. Loved the first Wonder Woman movie. Thought she was all right in her other appearances in the Justice League and stuff. Did not like Wonder Woman 1984, but I don't think that's her fault. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. What else have I seen her in? Is everything she's in an action movie? And then I remembered, oh, yeah, she was in Death on the Nile, which I thought she was great in. Then I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan, so I would love to see her do more stuff that is outside of the action realm, because I think she can do that. I'd love to see her get more roles like that, but she does action movies really well. She would kill as Lara Croft. I can't think of an action character she couldn't play, And again, I think she's a great Wonder Woman. Yeah, 1984 was a terrible script, and such a horrible conceit. I really think that there should have been someone who read the script and went, no, the whole Steve Trevor thing, that's going to come across really bad to everybody. You realize what no, okay. But no, they didn't have that person reading the script. JD says she was way underutilized in the two Fast movies. Well, okay, that's sad. So, but here it's really believable. And it's funny, she has that balance. She is one of the highlights of the movie. Absolutely. One of the highlights of the movie. In that she comes across as being a capable agent, that you believe she can do these things, in the same way when Keanu Reeves is out there in the suit and the gun in John Wick, you don't question, you don't look at him doing these things thinking there's no way in hell. You buy that he is that well trained, because there's, just how the personification he brings to the character, she does that. That's awesome. Where this kind of goes off the rails is the stuff around it. And like I said, there's some cringy stuff. There's besides the title, but there's also a couple twists. And the first twist, and it's early on, was setting up to be a horribly cringy thing. Of, and we've seen this a lot where the like Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan is an analyst who ends up out in the field. He's in over his head. And that's how this starts. You feel like this is going to be what that story is that she's in over her head. She's not meant to be a field agent, anything like that. And that's what you get in the first few minutes. And then there's this twist. And that twist is on the really good side of this movie. Because suddenly you're dealing with something completely different. They didn't go the cringy, overused route. And so I give it credit for that. Then there's another twist later on, which I think is good. But at the same time, it's like it kind of saw it coming. But again, it's not horrible. Overall, this is a fun movie. If you're looking for, hey, it's Thursday night, I got nothing to do. I'm working on something. I'm in the studio. I'm painting miniatures or crocheting or whatever you're doing. You're woodworking, whatever. And you want to put something on. Perfect movie. Lots of action, lots of fun, pretty light plot. But there are moments in it that feel like they're right out of other stories. There's a climactic moment. It's not the ending, but there is a big moment in the movie that feels like the climactic moment from Citadel. That so much that when I'm watching it, I'm like, I've just seen this. Something slightly different. The location is just a tad bit different. But it's very similar to the big action scene at the end of Citadel. But I couldn't remember at first. I tried to remember who, what it was, because I had this scene in my head, and I'm like, I know I saw this, but with a male lead. What was it? And it finally clicked. It was Citadel. And that's when I connected the two. And it's kind of interesting that we're getting these. We got Citadel, we've got this, and we got The Gray Man, which was from the Russo brothers. All of which were a lot of fun. They're ones that I don't regret watching. I really liked Citadel a lot, probably the top of the three. Gray Man, I put Gray Man and this one kind of close. Depends on how I'm feeling that day. But they're right in that same ballpark. But this is not to be confused with Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, The Night Agent. Those to me are much more serious, much more down-to-earth spy thrillers or, just thrillers. So, ChatGPT probably wrote them both. I would have thought that until I saw Greg Rucka's name. Because this does kind of feel like a continuation of Queen and Country. I mean, even to the fact that we start with MI6. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Jamie Dormer's pretty good. The cast around her, she carries the movie. She definitely carries the movie. There is a bit of a dip when she isn't on screen. But overall, she does really well. And there's a couple slow moments. A couple of moments where it's like, why is this in here? It's like, can we move it along? And there's a couple, like I said, there's a couple moments kind of cringy. The way it ends is a little cringy. And when I say cringy, it's like cliche, or God, we've seen this 97 times before. Why are we doing it again? So I almost wish they would have had, like brought the script by somebody else and went, what do you think? And had them go, okay, this has been done. Maybe change this a little bit. But I'd say that's a small part of the movie. The more of it is fun. They work in some pretty interesting twists. How she communicates with the computer AI, stuff like that. All of that is really interesting. And, again, Glenn Close, though, I don't get that. Figure Drawing says, Gal Gadot is very pretty and she can be quite charming, but she is not a good actress. Also, I never liked scrawny Gadot as Wonder Woman. It never made sense to me. See, now Figure, I have never had a problem with her as Wonder Woman because of the confidence she carries when she's the character. So, but again, that's personal choice. We've grown up with the characters. It's funny for comic fans because, like I said, we've grown up with the characters and the visualization, and we see Adam Hughes's drawing of Wonder Woman and George Perez's drawings, and a lot of us grew up with Linda Carter, so we have an idea of who Wonder Woman should be, and Gal is more Slayton build than that. So I get it from that point of view, but I don't have a problem with her in the role of Wonder Woman, and I don't have a problem here. Acting wise, I thought she did really well in Death on the Nile, because that's a tougher role and more range than what she gets in these other action movies, and I'd like to see her get more to see what she really is. What she can really do. Triple B says I should be that person to read the scripts. I would absolutely do that. Hollywood, call me. I'll be the script reader. I'll be the anti-cringe guy. So, yeah. Though you don't want to send me any Taika Waititi movies. Just saying. So, yeah, I think anybody who grew up with Linda Carter as Wonder Woman is going to have a problem with anybody else as Wonder Woman. She kind of embodied that. It's kind of the same thing with Christopher Reeves as Superman. Whoever gets cast as Superman gets compared to Christopher Reeves. In another stream, someone was saying that her acting is on par with Margot Robbie's. Wow. I don't know. I've seen Margot Robbie in a couple good movies too. So a lot of the times it comes down to what roles they get, and which, Wolf of Wall Street's very different than the Barbie movie, very different than Harley Quinn, So I'm not going to attack anybody as being a bad actor when they're doing action movies, because a lot of times that's the script. Pastor Mike says Christopher Reeves was the GOAT. Now, see, I have huge respect for Christopher Reeves, but to me, there were some cringy moments in the original Superman movie that I could have done without. So where I think he did great, there are some awkward moments and stuff that I didn't really enjoy. So to me, the Superman movie is not as great as a lot of people think it is. But didn't she just make $1 billion? Yeah, Margot's doing fine with the, yeah. Yeah, Margot Robbie's doing fine with films right now. And good luck finding someone as befitting as Henry Cavill. Seriously. No, I thought Henry Cavill was great. But when David Corn Sweat puts on the costume, I'll go watch the movie and see how it is. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and we'll take our second break, and we will do some key collectibles when we come back. Be right back.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. I meant to mention this earlier. I'm always laughing at the BS that ends up being news stories online, and some of the sites are covering. One of the news stories going on right now is this bizarre rumor that Marvel's going to stop doing Disney Plus series. I don't see that happening. But right now, what a lot of people are freaking out about is that on the 24th of October will be the release of the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline book. And it's similar to this one. This is the Star Wars one they did earlier this year. And what they're freaking out about is that the original cover design that they sent out had right about here a picture of Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch. Now they've sent out an updated cover image, and replacing the Scarlet Witch is a picture of Loki and Sylvie. And people are like, oh my God, they've changed it. They've taken away the Scarlet Witch. What does it mean? They just changed the cover. She's kind of a bad guy now, and Loki's kind of a good guy. I don't know. It's not a newsworthy story. Jeez. All right, what do we got to say? Dan, if you had to choose, would you pick Anna Taylor-Joy to play Harley or Wonder Woman? I do not know enough about Anna Taylor-Joy. I haven't really seen her in much, so I don't think I have an opinion yet. I know that she was in The Queen's Gambit, and I know she was in New Mutants. But just by looks, I would go Harley of the two. But I don't know. I haven't seen enough of her acting to really make an opinion. Pastor Mike says, honestly, I think a lot of the great actors who fit in parts were hurt by bad scripts. Val Kilmer's Batman, Brandon Routh's Superman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman 1984, Christopher Reeve's Superman's 3 and 4. So Superman 4 is Reeves' own fault. He actually came up with the story for that one. She was good. She was a good Princess Peach. Okay. She was in The Northman, The Witch. Yeah, I will have to take a look at and see more about what she's done. So, all right, guys, let's do some key collectibles. And since We were talking about Gal Gadot. I thought we'd go with key Wonder Woman issues, though I think JD has just made his vote on who he thinks Wonder Woman is. So most people seem to think that Sensation Comics #1 is the first appearance of Wonder Woman, but it's not. All-Star Comics #8 from 1941 is the first appearance and origin of Wonder Woman. This goes for $290,000, $81,000 on the median, $28,500 on the low end. Now, this is interesting. This came out in December of 1941. Take a look at all the stuff DC ended up doing with Wonder Woman in like no time at all. The next book we have is Sensation Comics #1. This is the second appearance of Wonder Woman. So she's already now leading her own book. After one quick appearance, this is literally the next month. This goes for $112,000 high end, $43,000 median, about $10,500 on the low end. Then in Sensation Comics #6, just a couple months later, we get the first appearance of the Magic Lasso. This goes for $2,500 on the high end, $700 on the median, $230 on the low end. But then we get Wonder Woman #1. Now this is still within like the first 6 to 8 months of the character's debut. So she goes from being a character in a book to getting the lead in her own book to getting her own title that quickly. And this was from like the 1942. That was her first solo title. Back it up. $105,000 on that, $46,000 on the median, $11.5 on the low end. All right. Then she pops up in All-Star Comics in the most insulting way possible. All-Star Comics #12. She becomes the secretary for the JSA. Not a member. She's the secretary. High end on this is $2,900, median's $810, low end is $270. Wonder Woman #6. This was the first appearance of Cheetah. Again, we're just like over a year away from her debut. We already get one of her major villains. This is $16,500 on the high end, $5,300 on the median, $1,600 on the low end. Then in 1949, Wonder Woman #37, we were introduced to another major villain for her, Circe. This goes for about $3,500, $1,200 on the median, $350 on the low end. And then in 1951, this is an important issue. This is Wonder Woman #49. This is the issue that Frederick Wertham references in Seduction of the Innocent, which of course led to the Comics Code. This was his example of lesbian undertones and stuff in a comic. This goes for about $1,100, medians $385, low ends $115. Wonder Woman #80 from 1956. I'm not even sure what's going on with this cover, but this is the origin of the invisible plane. And this goes for $710 on the high end, $190 on the median, $60 on the low end. Then we have Wonder Woman #98 from 1958. This is 15 years after her debut, and this is her first appearance, official appearance in the Silver Age. And this is where she meets Steve Trevor. And they do this whole new origin story. This starts here, a series of books giving her a whole new origin story. This goes for about $2,000, $550 on the median, $180 on the low end. So it's pretty interesting, all the things they did in that first year. Let me catch up real quick. Oh, by the way, Kenneth and everybody else, we are out of the slabs. We've given away all 20 of the slabs. So we're not doing that contest anymore, but we appreciate you guys coming around and hanging out and whatnot. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. There's a good chance there's something we've been working on as audience and host. We've been working on a pitch for a Jack of Hearts Disney series, Disney Marvel series. And I've been meaning to get back to that. And that may be what we do tomorrow. we get back to that, putting that together. And that's where you guys get to give input as well. We've already had some villain changes, story changes and stuff from audience participation. And I'm going to write this whole thing up and see what happens. So come back tomorrow. There's a good chance that unless something really big comes up, some obvious news we need to cover, that'll be the topic for tomorrow. But we do have a good lineup today. We got Comics Collectibles coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we have Chuck and his mysterious guest. And we say mysterious because he hasn't told us who his guest is after that. And then we have our late show with Kicking It with Henri, and he's doing I love this. He's doing FOMO auctions, the fear of missing out. And one of the books that he has tonight is the story of O.J. Simpson done as a comic and the whole murder and all that stuff. So yeah, that's one of the books that he's hyping as having tonight. So yes, definitely want to check that out, because if he's bringing an O.J. Simpson comic, you really can't even guess what else he's bringing. So, all right, guys, again, please hit that like button before you go. I appreciate it. Tell your friends about the show, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.